Punters usually don't end up with a lot of glory. No one wants to see their team's punter walking on field, and they are usually forgotten after their career. One person has managed to totally change this on its head and become an outspoken star alongside building one of the most impressive football media empires of the internet age. That man is none other than former Colts punter Pat McAfee. Pat was a star in the NFL due to his comedic style, and ever since retiring has run the Pat McAfee Show, which has become a huge hit in its own right, and is now signed to a huge contract with ESPN. But what is the legend's life story? Just how good was his NFL career? Hi, I'm Jake with FootballLore, and today we will be exploring the life and career of the legend Pat McAfee. If you like Pat and America, then be sure to press the like button. Pat McAfee was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in 1987. His parents, Tim and Sally, had normal jobs and pushed Pat to succeed in academics and athletics. He was not the best student, but had a natural talent at football, even winning the national punt pass and kick competition as a sophomore. He was a party animal during high school, and even managed to win $1,400 from an illegal poker game he had played at during a party. He took that money and traveled down to Miami, Florida, where he participated in a field goal competition. He smoked almost everyone else there and made 9 straight field goals, before missing a 70-yard field goal by just feet to the right. Obviously, everyone else there was blown away by his massive leg he had developed through his youth soccer career. It even attracted the attention of Tony Gibson, who was working as West Virginia's football recruiter, who offered McAfee a scholarship to become the kicker for the Mountaineers. Pat wouldn't take on full-time punting duties until the NFL, and instead was the West Virginia field goal kicker through his college career. As a freshman, he managed to win the starting job and went 11-18 through the year alongside being responsible for all kickoffs. One of his biggest impact plays of the year came after a successful onside kick during a triple overtime game against Louisville. During his sophomore year, the Mountaineers actually won 10 games and got a bowl appearance in the Gator Bowl, which they won over Georgia Tech. He improved to make 77% of his kicks and even started punting with an average of 40 yards per punt. His junior year saw a similar performance on field goals, but he really came into his own as a punter with 46 punts, averaging another 43 yards. He rarely, if ever, missed extra points and came to be known as a reliable college kicker who could potentially function at the next level. During his junior season, he broke his streak of 106 consecutive extra points, but managed to make the All-Bowl team after his performance in the Fiesta Bowl. He even managed to be a semi-finalist for the best college kicker in the nation that year, and came into his senior year with a plan to kick butt and take names like never before. His senior year saw him still perform well with field goals, but he improved his average punt by a few yards and even had a career high 65-yard punt during the season. This combined performance earned him a spot in the Senior Bowl, and he followed it up by winning the kicking challenge at the State Farm College Football All-Star Challenge. Despite his solid college career, he was not invited to the NFL Combine, but held private workouts with the Colts, Cowboys, and Patriots before the draft. It's no secret that punters and kickers aren't usually highly sought after in the draft. It's thought that even being drafted at this position shows that you have what it takes to compete at a higher level. After all, there have only been 6 kickers or punters drafted in the first round in the league's history. In the 7th round, the Colts selected McAfee with the 222nd pick in the NFL draft. He knew instantly he was not going to be kicking field goals because the Colts had the all-time great Adam Vinatieri. Instead, he was going to be handling all punting and kickoff duties the team had. He had gained experience in college, but the NFL was a totally different level. He also was told he had to hold for extra points, which was not something he had ever done before being drafted. Despite this, he did have a solid rookie season, and the Colts went on to lose the Super Bowl to the Saints. He performed so well he was named to the 2009 NFL All-Rookie Team and managed a 44-yard average punt and was known for being able to pinch teams in corners. His second year in the NFL was much of the same, but his personality off the field started to shine, with him becoming a fan favorite in Indianapolis. He became known for his funny commentary and tweets that led to him being one of the best-selling punter jerseys in the league. He did have a small drop in performance when it came to his average punt, but he bounced back the next year with an increase of 5 yards to his average. Honestly, he had a solid career as a punter, and a career highlight came in 2014 when he accidentally tweeted a photo with Adam Vinatieri where Andrew Luck was practically nude in the background of the photo. This got him a $10,000 fine from the Colts, but they didn't care too much because that offseason they signed Pat to a 5-year contract. He also made his first Pro Bowl that same year, and in January 2015, it was also announced he had made his first All-Pro team. However, things weren't great, with him starting to have knee surgeries as a result of his prolonged use of his leg for punting. He had several more operations over the remainder of his career, and after a career year in 2016 where he averaged almost 50 yards per punt, he decided to retire. He decided to retire because of his knee surgeries, his developing comedy brand he enjoyed more, and also because he had started to have relationship issues with the Colts GM. He did have another workout with the Bears as a place kicker in 2019, but his knee swelled up after that, so he decided to stay retired. Off the field, during his last season, he had started to do stand-up comedy about his time in the NFL. He joined the Barstool Sports Network following his retirement and set up a new division in Indianapolis to help create content for the network. He started hosting a show which swelled in popularity. It was one of the first times NFL players openly spoken about their time in the league in a comedic way, and receiving NFL news from a former player who could speak about his own experience in the league was something fans were clamoring for. As he gained popularity quickly, he knew he was generating a lot of money and separated from Barstool over their lack of transparency when it came to business operations. He decided to open his own business to run his show after that, and he started to sell merchandise alongside starting other shows to help make more money for the company. This led to the operation growing quickly, and to add to the show, he started to hire friends to act as on-the-air talent. In September of 2019, he launched the Pat McAfee Show as we know it today. It was initially going to be a deal with DAZN and Westwood One where they would help fund production and keep the lights on for Pat's business, in exchange for him making the show. Initially, it was on 40 radio shows alongside the DAZN network. But in May 2020, DAZN allowed it to move to YouTube full-time. Shortly after, it was picked up by CBS Sports and SiriusXM alongside being live streamed on YouTube. The show was massive and soon became the most popular daily NFL show on the internet. The show also had huge popularity on radio and other platforms and was extremely profitable for both McAfee and the production studios behind it. In 2021, McAfee announced that he had reached a 4-year, $120 million deal with FanDuel to make them the sole provider of the Pat McAfee Show. This came with a new studio called the FanDuel Igloo or the Thunderdome, and it continued to rake in millions of views each month and millions of dollars for McAfee. The show did well for a while, but in 2023 it moved yet again to the ESPN network on an $85 million deal over 5 years. Pat McAfee did have issues with some at ESPN and didn't hesitate to air his beef to the fans and explain exactly what was going on. The cool thing about McAfee having his own platform is that he doesn't really need anyone to produce the show from a financial perspective. While some talent might just sit down and shut up when treated unfairly, Pat knows he has the leverage to speak openly about whatever he wants and isn't going to let any company just push him around and control his show. This openness had earned him a lot of die-hard fans who support him by buying merch and tuning in every day. The show still gets millions of views to this day and has begun to become more intertwined with ESPN and the NFL. It has had its fair share of controversy too. During COVID, Aaron Rodgers got himself into hot water for his comments on the show. McAfee also got himself sued by Brett Favre when he called him a thief for his alleged role in the scheme to defraud welfare in Mississippi to build a new volleyball stadium. Aaron Rodgers also got the show into trouble again when he implied that Jimmy Kimmel had been involved with the infamous Epstein. Despite these controversies, it is incredibly popular, and I don't see the show's run coming to an end anytime soon. It is just way too profitable for McAfee and company to just let it fall to the wayside, but this hasn't been his only venture outside of football. In 2018, he started to work for the Fox Sports Network as a broadcaster for college football. Shortly after, he featured in an NFL broadcast for a Lions versus Packers game. He also has been involved with broadcasting for ESPN with both Thursday Night College Football and Monday Night Football, respectively. He also makes regular appearances on College Game Day as a celebrity guest picker and works with the Manning brothers for their NFL content as well. This has come with more millions for Pat McAfee to spend on cool crap, but it's not like enriching himself is the only thing he cares about. He also operated a charity, the Pat McAfee Foundation. to provide scholarships to military families for several years. Outside of just football, he also works closely with the WWE. In 2018, he started working with them as a pre-show analyst before signing an official multi-year deal with the Sports League. He broadcasts pay-per-view events on YouTube and works to create content with wrestlers directly to build hype for matches and create press buzz. He didn't stay in the booth permanently and has also made appearances in storylines on SmackDown and in NXT. He had gotten into it with Adam Cole and had a team at the NXT War Games event. He has worked at the SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, and even appears in WWE 2K24. He keeps himself busy to say the least, but his personal life is still full of lots more. One funny story comes in 2010 when he was arrested and charged with public intoxication when he was found shirtless and wet after swimming in a canal near a nightclub in Indianapolis. It was about 5:15 in the morning, and the police found him with a blood alcohol content twice the legal limit. He hadn't been doing anything but swimming and was taken home. The Colts suspended McAfee as the results of that night, but McAfee had admitted he made a dumb decision on a night that got out of control, and he will never put his family or team through that again. He hasn't done anything like that since, and honestly, who hasn't gotten drunk and dove into a canal from time to time? I still do it from time to time after my team wins a game. Other than that, Pat is married. He got engaged in 2019 to his longtime girlfriend Samantha, and the two were married in an awesome wedding in Carmel, Indiana. The two have had a child together since tying the knot, and Samantha is known to be extremely supportive of Pat and his business endeavors. The guy pretty much won at life. He has a business worth hundreds of millions, made millions in the NFL while making all-pro teams, lived out his childhood dream, and started a family with a woman who supports him honestly and earnestly. The guy also has a crew of people around him who seem to genuinely work hard on his business and keep him on a good path. Pat was told he was put on the list of eligible NFL Hall of Fame players in 2022, and while he had an incredible career and has done a lot for the game, he had an interesting opinion on it. He said that he was incredibly flattered, but felt that statistically there were lots of other punters who played during his era that deserved the addition much more. He felt like his success in media off the field had allowed him to jump the list of punters who had Hall of Fame potential, and his respect for the position didn't allow him to just enter the Hall unless others who deserved it more went in first. I really do respect this position. Sometimes people who have had as much success as Pat get huge egos. He still loves the game of football and can acknowledge others who had played better at his own position. He has even spoken very highly of Adam Vinatieri, who he technically was competing with for a job. He recognizes that Vinatieri is probably the greatest kicker of all time and knew that he was around greatness. He wasn't blinded by ego and trying to take down the best of all time during his career. Instead, he accepted his role on the team and did his best to excel at his job. I think a lot of players could take a page out of his book to make their career more successful. So many players let their own ego derail their career and turn what could have been a long career into a flash in the pan when they bite off more than they can chew. McAfee had a great NFL career and leveraged his comedic talent to develop a media empire he can use for cash flow forever. What's funny is for most players, the NFL is the most money they are ever going to get. Pat made $2.5 million on his rookie contract before getting franchise tagged for another $3 million and then signing a $14 million contract after that. Comparatively, his multiple 8-figure podcast deals and his 9-figure deal with FanDuel has paid him way more than he ever made in the NFL. Don't get me wrong, I will gladly take what he was making in the league, but usually it's the opposite, where players have a huge drop in income after they retire from football. It just goes to show that people should have a plan when they enter the league, and especially when they start to think about retirement. He has kept the goodwill of a lot of his fans, and even if his show has a huge drop in popularity at this point, he has to be set for life. I know statistically he isn't one of the greatest punters of all time, but I do think he has done a lot to make people look at the position with a bit more respect than before. Not to be dramatic, but punters had a reputation as kind of dorky guys who had a position out of necessity. Pat McAfee helped people realize they are just one of the bros trying to have a good time and play football like anybody else. His NFL connections have also really helped his show always break news and stay on top of stories in a way no one else can. Aaron Rodgers appearing on the show has been huge for his viewership, and having AJ Hawk means they always have great analysis for people. That is the story of Pat McAfee. I have a lot of respect for what he was able to do on the field, and a ton more respect for what he was able to do after retiring from the game. If you enjoyed the video, I would really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button and comment down below. If you like football videos like this, then just know we post 2 of them a week. We are really trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year and would really love your support as we try to reach our goal. Our last video was one about how Patrick Mahomes changed the NFL, so consider giving it a watch. Thank you all so much for watching.